Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I am bringing you a bit of an art supply review video. Specifically, we are going to be taking a look at the Arteza, I think it's Arteza, maybe it's Arteza. Don't come for me in the comments. The Arteza 15 set of miniature brushes. This is their detail brush set. We're going to be taking a closer look at these here. Full disclosure here, Arteza did send me some supplies to review. This is not a sponsored video by any means, but they did send me the supplies to review and give my feedback on. And of course, the links to any of these products mentioned below, which is primarily going to be the brushes, and I'll talk about why in a minute. So if you do decide to purchase anything mentioned in this video, those links down below are affiliate links, so I do get a little bit of a kickback. Just giving you full transparency on that. Arteza a while ago sent me a bunch of supplies to check out, and they kind of asked me what did I want, and I asked for some detail brushes because, as you know, I work very, very small, so detail brushes are really important to me, and I like the idea of maybe trying something new. Of course, having backups, like I like having just backup brushes because I really kind of go through mine pretty often. So this is something that I would be definitely using a lot, pending it works out. So I'm very curious about this. They did send me a few other supplies, some of their acrylic paint pens, but I'm not going to use those in this video because I really just want to focus on the detail brushes, and especially because I actually have some illustrations that need inking, which is primarily how I use detail brushes, is with acrylic ink to do all of my outline work. So first things first, this is a set of 15. So it's a set of 15 miniature brushes. It comes in this little plastic sleeve with a bit of a cardboard backing situation here. They are synthetic brushes, and the price point on this is $12.99. Come on now, $12.99. I mean, not too shabby for this many brushes. We will see. Oh, now I'm looking at some of the tips of these. Oh boy, it looks like some of the little covers came off of them. But $12.99, holy moly, what a price point for 15 brushes. I was actually really shocked when I looked that up myself to see what it was. Miniature brushes. I have it on my phone here as well. Miniature brushes, ideal for painting dolls, for details on architectural or scale models, or for very fine detailing in any media, and even nail art. I mean, that would be great if it's for nail art, because I've really fallen down the rabbit hole of painting nails. I really like painting miniature things. So let's take a look at these. It looks like they also have the brushes grouped up by size and shape, which is nice. Let's just open these puppies up and take a look. They also have these sizes broken down on the back here. So we get a set of liners, what they call spots, and a round. I use round and liner brushes most often. All these little tab things are flying out of here. What do you call these? Brush protectors? Tubes? Brush tubes? I don't know. Let's take a look. Here are the liners. I'm gonna group all the liners together. So we'll take a look at each type of brush here. 5 liners. I'm assuming 5 spot brushes. Yep. And then 5 rounds. Okay. Let me get all the packaging off these and we'll take a closer look. Okay, here are the liners. They look nice. Very synthetic feel, that is for sure. This one is looking a little haggard, like it's got some extra glue or something on it here. This might have been the one that was missing its little protective plastic tube, so that might be why it's looking a little bit more haggard. But there is the liners. Interesting. I'd be using the liners a lot for nail art, that's for sure. Let's take a look at the spot shape. Here are the spot brushes. Interesting. Some of the tips on these are looking a little haggard, but maybe that will improve once we get some water and some media on it. Here are the round brushes. I do see one of these that I would maybe use for kind of my line work detailing. I'll pull out which ones that I would actually be using on an illustration. And I see also a couple of these, like this one, This is the size 1. I would be using this definitely for some of my acrylic paint kind of details on my art journal spreads. Same with this guy over here, a 0. 0s and 1 are usually the sizes I tend to gravitate towards. All right, let's get some media on these bad boys and do some little sample swatches. These are the illustrations that I will be trying to ink out pending. Let's do some swatches first though. I want to see the swatches on these before I commit to my illustration. Let's just get some black acrylic ink. And again, I'm using acrylic ink because this is what I use most frequently with detail brushes, but I will try some paint as well in a little bit. Okay, let's go ahead and grab one of the round brushes. I'm gonna grab the round size 0. Let's get it wet. Let's see how it looks wet. Okay, not bad. I mean, I do see where I need to make a little trim. I see a little rogue hair here, but I'll try not to do any trimming here. Let's just go straight up. It looks like it took the media well. And let me bring you in close as we do a little swatch. Yeah, there's a rogue hair that needs to go. Let's see. It feels pretty good. And the absorption isn't too bad. You know, synthetic brushes are always going to feel a certain way. It doesn't hold media as long as some of my other brushes that I like to use. But the bristles do hold up for smaller sort of areas. Now I'm really dunking my brush in here. Okay, if you really dunk your brush in, you get a little bit more length to it. Let's try a different size. That ink came right out of there, that is for sure. Let's try another size. This was the round size 0. Let's try that round size 1 that I had my eye on. Here's the round size 1 wet. Yeah, I do see where I could maybe come in with a little fine pair of scissors and trim a couple of things. Okay, it doesn't hold media as well as I would like. Seems like that finer one did a little bit better. Let's also try a little bit of paint. Okay, I just grabbed some Blick matte acrylic paint here. And let's just see how this does with acrylic. Some acrylic paint rather than ink. Yeah, I mean, it feels pretty good with the paint. Certainly for smaller sort of detail areas. Sorry, my paper is moving, that's why it's being weird. I think for filling in smaller sort of detail areas, I could see this being good, but I think if you're really trying to drag out a line, which is really what I have to do a lot when I'm doing my outlining, I don't know if you're gonna get the absorption like you would on a higher quality brush, but it seems like this would do well for like smaller little detail things in like a painting or in mixed media work. There's still a little bristle on this that I also need to trim off. You can see it kind of dangling here and it's driving me crazy. I don't know if you can see it on camera. Let's try the liner with some paint and some ink as well. Okay, so this is the size 0 liner. Let's take a look at this. Let's go ahead and do the ink. Okay, the liner seems to do a little bit better with the ink, and I don't know if it's just because I got more, you know, bristle length here. Okay, the liners are pretty nice. To note here as well, the review that I'm doing on this is really like how I would be using these brushes. So if you're using a different kind of media, maybe this review is not for you, but I'm reviewing it from the perspective of how I would be using it in my work. Okay, the liner's not bad. I mean, I am able to maintain pretty decent control on these. Let's go ahead and actually put some of this into action. Oh, let me try the paint with the liner. Okay, the liners are nice. It's also holding up to my vigorous water rinsing over here in my jar. Interesting. Okay, well, first note here, first impression, they're not as bad as I thought that they would be when I first opened them up. I was a little worried. What I want to do is get this into actual use here and try outlining a few things in an actual illustration with some ink. This is the 40 round. Let's see, because this is really like the size that I would be using. I mean, it feels pretty good. It feels pretty good. Why don't we go ahead and get one of those illustrations out and do some outlining there so we can really see kind of the practical application of these brushes in use. So here are a few illustrations I've been working on. This is for just my own personal fun obsession lately with Midsummer. I recently rewatched it and it's just been really inspiring me lately. So these were just some fun kind of little illustrations I created. You might have actually seen a little sneak peek of these in a previous studio vlog, but I'd like to get these outlined. So what I'm actually going to do, oh, actually I wanted to put some hair on this guy, so maybe this is better. Hold on. I'm going to get some ink in my really, really messy Haggard palette over here. This is the Liquitex Burnt Umber, Transparent Burnt Umber, which was what this is, just kind of watered down. And then I'm also using a Dr. Martin's Black Star matte for the black. And let's get some little hairs in here. What size brush do we want to use? I'm going to use a new one. This is or one that I haven't tested yet. I didn't use this in the swatches. This is the 30 round, and I'm going to use this to try to get some little detail hairs in. I'm just kind of testing off to the side over here, and we'll get some little bear hairs going. I mean, it does pick up the ink, but I feel like it doesn't absorb the acrylic ink as much as I would like. So maybe the trick is just it's better suited for a less fluid media. Like I certainly would not use this with watercolor. There also seems to be a bristle or something going on here that is causing some smudges for me. It might just be that although they say that this is for all media, it might be better suited for paint. It may also be better suited for just kind of like trash brushes, which I know sounds crazy, but my mixed media peeps out there, you might know what I'm talking about, in a sense that we destroy brushes very often depending on what the media is that we're using. And for $12.99 for a pack of 15, to just have trash brushes that you're not worried about, you know, preserving, or if they get really messed up and you're using it for more texture things, that might be the better usage for these. Just as I kind of use it here in more of a illustration sense. And I can bring you in a little bit closer too, so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. So you can see it's giving me the detailed lines that I want, but there are some moments where I'm not getting like the best line happening here. And I think it's because I have there's a weird bristle dangling off this particular brush. And it's not me either, because I am very confident in my line work with a brush. I've been doing it this way for years. This is how I outline all of my illustrations, is with a detail brush. kind of just adding a bit of outlining. Kind of doing it with the brown before I fully commit to the black, to be honest. Let's see if I can outline some of the ear up here. I might use a different brush for the black, I think, because this one is not giving me the best lines that I could have happening here. It's not terrible for the fur. I mean, thankfully I'm going for kind of a more natural look. So let me actually just keep adding fur on this guy, and then I will check back in when I switch brushes to put some black in here. And maybe I can start with the flowers too, because I don't need like a super crisp line on that. So let me add some fur and then I'll check back in just a moment. So I've managed to get all of that brown fur in there, and I'm switching gears now to a size 0 spot brush. So we'll give the spot brush a go here. I have my black acrylic ink, and I'm going to start with the flowers down here just so I can get a feel for kind of the brush and the ink combo before I commit to the upper portion where I need kind of crispier line work here. So we're just gonna detail some of these flowers and see how it goes. The spot brushes have a nice tip on it, I will say that. This might feel a little bit closer to some of the detail brushes I use. And I use a lot of different ones, so I'm not gonna really get into it in this particular video, but it feels a little bit closer to what I'm used to. You can see I haven't dipped my brush back into my palette yet either, so it's holding ink pretty well. Okay, I'm gonna keep working on these because it is challenging for me to talk while I do this at the same time here, because I did want to give you kind of my live reaction to these brushes versus doing like a voiceover later. I thought it might be just fun to kind of mix up the kind of videos that I'm putting up here. This is also reminiscent to the kind of videos that I put over on Patreon. I just kind of talk through what I'm doing live usually. So we're getting some good outlines happening here. Okay, it's not bad. It's not bad at all. These spot brushes maybe is the way to go for my detailing style. I guess the good news is that for 13 bucks you can test a lot of different brushes to see what works best for you. All right, okay, not bad. Not bad at all. All right, let me keep working on getting this outlined, and then I'll check in before I switch to doing kind of the bear and the flames, and we'll see kind of what brush I decide to move forward with on that. Okay, I seem to have found my sweet spot here with this spot brush, literally, pun intended. I found my sweet spot with the spot brushes. The size 0 spot brush, it seems to be just the right size and length for the kind of detailing that I like to do. So I was able to knock out the flowers there. I was in a good groove. I found that I wasn't having to dip too much into my ink, so it was, you know, the brush was holding up like I want it to. So I'm gonna go ahead and tackle the rest of this now, getting the bear in, and I'll probably fill in his little talons, his claws, detail the teeth, and then outline as well as the flames and the bigger, you know, yellow background outline as well. So I'm gonna come in with that with all black, and then I'll probably move on to this up here. So I'm just gonna keep my detailing groove going here. You might see me dip into some brown or some yellows, my other like transparent ink sets, we'll see. But so far this one seems to be treating me really well overall. I'm still achieving the line work that I would be normally doing with some of my other brushes that I use. So the brushes are growing on me is basically what I'm trying to say. So far so good. I'm gonna keep at it, and you can just kind of hang out with me here while I continue to ink out this crazy midsummer bear. Okay, so I've just finished inking out and detailing my 2 illustrations here, my 2 midsummer illustrations, and overall I got into a pretty good groove, which was nice. Didn't think about reaching for any of my other detail brushes, which is also nice. So they were actually, it was surprising. I actually ended up liking them more than I thought that I would from my kind of first impression out of the packaging. And you can see that I did quite a variety of line work, from kind of my bolder, you know, kind of main outline to the hair details to even the little wood details happening in the little yellow hut A-frame thing happening here. So yeah, and you can see all kind of my little swatches over here from the beginning. But I was pleasantly surprised. These were better brushes than what I thought they were going to be out of the packaging. So to just kind of summarize, and I'll bring all the brushes into frame here, just to kind of summarize, the 2 that I ended up using the most, and it will be interesting as I continue to use these long term, kind of what I end up using or don't, or I don't know, but the 2 that I was using the most was the size 0 spot brush and the 40 round brush. The spot brush is what I was using for kind of those larger areas, that thicker black outline around here, and then the 0 round I was using for kind of these longer drag out lines and some of these like longer lines that I was doing on the bear as well. So those were the 2 that I was grabbing for the most. And I did jot down just a couple of quick notes, kind of just a quick like pro-con list, I think, for these brushes, which again, I feel silly even giving this much information for a $13, $12.99, whatever pack of brushes, because I mean, for how cheap it is, honestly, I think it's worth a go just for the price point alone. But to really give a review, and again, this review is based on how I would be using these brushes, which would really be for situations like this, and maybe some kind of acrylic ink detailing in an art journal spread. I think, let's talk about the bad news first. I think the cons is that actually, as I was holding it, I realized that yes, it's a short handle brush, but the handle itself is actually quite a bit shorter than some of the other short handle brushes that I am used to using. And I mean, just to kind of show you, like, this is one that I am used to using here. It's quite a difference in length. It might not seem like it, but just that extra inch there, it really does feel different in your hand. So it's not a total deal breaker, but it's just something to be aware of, that it's a shorter handle than most standard short handle brushes. Something else that I noted as a con is that it does feel like a synthetic brush, which is not a bad thing. I do use synthetic brushes, but it does feel, the bristles itself, when you are applying it, when you're dipping it into your medium, it just has that synthetic brush feel. And if you have used both natural and synthetic brushes, then you know kind of what I'm saying. That's like the only way that I can really say it. It's not that it's like super bad quality, but you can feel the quality of the bristles as you're using it. The other con that I just had noted was it didn't saturate bristle. The bristles didn't saturate or pick up as much media as I would have liked, but not a deal breaker. You can see that I was still able to like fully, detail and illustrate what I wanted to on these. Now for the pros, the biggest pro, of course, is the price. It's $12.99 for a 15 pack of brushes. I mean, holy cow. I mean, that's just, and they're not terrible either. So honestly, it's worth just giving it a go, even just for how cheap they are. It's kind of insane. I mean, some brushes out there, $13 can cover one brush, you know what I mean? And you're getting a huge pack here. It's the price is really on point. The other thing that's nice is that you do get a wide variety of brushes. So depending on what it is that you're working on, or your particular style, or how you hold a brush, or how you do your line work, you have a lot of options to choose from, which is kind of why I wanted to note those two that I used specifically, because that really ended up fitting kind of my style, my application technique the best. But you're getting so many in the pack that it's kind of, you're bound to find one that's going to work for you because there's so many in one pack. The last kind of just general pro is that it does deliver decent line work. I mean, for a synthetic, really, really affordable brush, I was able to achieve all the line work that I wanted to on both of these drawings. So overall, I was happy. I didn't put the brush down, and I do see myself integrating all of these brushes into my my paintbrush holder and my normal stash of brushes. So there you have it, guys. There is my review of the Arteza 15 pack of detail brushes. Again, overall, I think it is totally worth it, honestly. For the price, it is amazing for how many brushes you get. I look forward to continuing to use these, and especially as I get into kind of art journaling and in other mediums and whatnot. But for ink, it definitely worked out, and I plan on continuing to use these guys. As I mentioned at the start of the video, there are links down below if you want to get your hands on these brushes. Stay! And just to note again that is an affiliate link, so I do get a little bit of a kickback, but this of course is not a sponsored video. This was sent to me for my honest review. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for some paint pens. That is next on the Arteza Art Supply review. They have sent me a lot of paint pens, a lot of acrylic paint pens, which I've been using quite a bit in my sketchbooks lately, so it's kind of good timing on that. But I wanted to make that its own video, since really the brushes and paint pens are just in their own world. I wanted to do that as a separate video. But anywho, if you like this video, give it a like. Of course, subscribe to my channel for more art and good times, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!